Hello everyone, my name is Sarafi and I'm happy to meet you all. And today we're going to be ranting about Duel Links because I want to. I was very careful to not rant about Duel Links yesterday when I made my announcement. I was just like, I don't really need to tell anybody why I don't want to play the game anymore. I can just keep that to myself. But it's like, you know what? I don't want to keep it to myself. I want to explain to you guys what's going on. So, we had the most recent set come out. And in that set, we got Resonators. And Resonators got their support, Scarred Dragon Archfiend. Now, Scarred Dragon Archfiend is from the Pulse of the Crimson Ruler structure deck. And that deck was printed in 2023. September of 2023. For reference, in Duel Links, we just got... you guys can't see. Hold on. I always have this problem. Is that better? Not really. There we go. Okay. So, for reference, in Duel Links, when this card came out in the real game, we were getting Terrors of the Overroot as a limit 3 in a selection box only. So, TCG gets, I pop the whole board, and then also I get a free level 8. Basically a replacement for Chaos Ruler, because Chaos Ruler got banned. And in Duel Links, we get, take one of your opponent's cards, send it to the graveyard, but then set one of their other cards face down, but it has to come from their graveyard. And that was too powerful. It had to be limit 3, and you couldn't get it from like a regular box. So, that's where we're at. So, we just got this card, which is an insane card. Scarred Dragon Archfiend. This card's name becomes Red Dragon Archfiend while on the field or in the graveyard. If this card is set from the monster zone to the graveyard, you can special summon one Red Dragon Archfiend from your X deck. This is treated as a synchro summon. Then if this card was sent to the graveyard as synchro material for a Dark Dragon synchro monster, you can destroy all attack position monsters your opponent controls. You can only use this effect once per turn. It's a cool card. Don't get me wrong. But this came out at the end of March of 2025. What did we get in January of 2025? In January of 2025, we got the Hero Structure deck. And in the Hero Structure deck, they decided we can't give heroes any of their own cards that are very powerful and give you quick effects or anything like that. Instead, we're going to give you Armed Neos, which is a new card. Armed Neos is from, I believe, 2023. Armed Neos came out... Battle of Legends Monstrous Revenge, June 2023. Okay, so same time frame, but it doesn't have a quick effect. It is literally just like it pops the field. And then to compensate for the fact that they did not give heroes a monster that could interact with the opponent's board during their turn, they gave them a skill that lets them play Armed Dragon Thunder from their deck for free. That is stupid. If you want to argue that heroes are overpowered, then fine. But Scarred Dragon Archfiend is a powerful card. So is Soul Resonator. So why is this appropriate to release just 2 months after you jip heroes out of their own cards? Why are you giving heroes a skill that makes them play other cards? We don't want to play Rainbow Dragon. We don't want to play Armed Dragon Thunder. We want to play hero cards. And we wouldn't need to draw Super Polymerization from our deck again if we got hero cards that were actually worth anything. So let's take a look. We could have gotten Destroyer Phoenix Enforcer. A powerful card. Is it Destroy Phoenix Enforcer? Shut up, Wikipedia. What? Okay. Destroyer Phoenix Enforcer. Why isn't that coming up? Destiny Hero Destroyer Phoenix Enforcer. Monsters your opponent controls lose 200 attack for each hero card in your graveyard. Quick effect, you can destroy one card you control, one card on the field. This is literally just a slightly better version of Borreload Furious Dragon. It does get to special summon itself from the graveyard during the next turn if it destroys itself. So, we already have Borreload Furious Dragon. We already have other cards that can be useful during the opponent's turn. And this card came out in 2021, Burst of Destiny. So why are heroes getting support from 2023 that doesn't help them play the game instead of a card from 2021 that would actually give them some sort of powerful engine? Now maybe you're going to be like, well, that's not an elemental hero. That's one of Aster Phoenix's cards. They wanted to give Jaden a deck. Fine. There are hero cards that could have been used as well. Like, for example, Masked Hero Darklaw. We got Mask Change in the game ages ago, and we still don't have any people playing Mask Change, even though it's a good card. Masked Hero Darklaw came out in 2015. 2015. Now, the effect is really good. Must be special summoned by Mask Change. Any card sent from your opponent's sent to your opponent's graveyard is banished instead. And once per turn, if your opponent adds a card from their deck to the hand, you can banish one card from their hand face down, or banish a random card from their hand. It's a good card, but it's only got 2,400 attack points, and it doesn't do anything else. It punishes your opponent for searching, which skills don't trigger it, so you can search anyway most of the time. And then it also acts as a macrocosmos effect, which is fair. That we have Dimension Fissure in the game, so why can't heroes have one of their floodgates if you want them to play the game? They have Plasma. Heroes have had Plasma forever. They are playing floodgates. So it's just so frustrating that you have a situation where cards that should be available to players are gate-kept for years, and then other cards are given to players to boost other decks that are way sooner and way more powerful. Scar Dragon Archfiend is on a different level than Masked Hero Darklaw. And then even if we talk about Hot Red Dragon Archfiend Abyss, I'm glad that Resonator's got this card finally. It makes sense. They needed a second card they could make from Scar Dragon Archfiend, because I'm not gonna make this. When did this card come out? 2015. 2015. Even after, it was 2015 October. So even after Darklaw came out, they get this. So why are we doing this? Why are we sitting in a position where you want to push two different decks? One of them gets a dumb skill that requires you to play non-hero cards just to interact with your opponent in ways that are unfair, whereas the other deck gets to play engine and one card combos and 6 searchers and goes into an Omni Negate. What's the point? Why are Resonators treated differently than heroes when you want to celebrate both decks? I don't have a problem with Resonators getting value and being valuable, but why did heroes not get the same thing? How could you treat these decks so differently just 2 months apart? I don't understand. And that's not to say other things. So that's an 8-minute rant about the direction of the game and how Konami is strangling certain decks for no reason. But now let's talk about the other main problem. The deeper that we go into the summoning mechanics, and we're running out of cards, we're running out of decks to release, we're running out of anime characters to print. The deeper we go, the more and more the speed duel format is going to restrict us and punish us. Let me explain what I mean. This is very important for pendulum decks. For some reason, pendulums are subject to Master Rule 5. They cannot pendulum summon from the extra deck more than one monster unless they pendulum summon 2 arrows a link monster points to. Well, the problem with that is there are no Duel Links exclusive cards. They're not printing cards to be put into Duel Links. They take cards from the real game and drop them into this speed duel format. And what's the problem with that? Every card that could make pendulums worth anything has the wrong arrows. Heavy Metal Foes Electromite, huge pendulum link monster. Left and right. only one arrow. You would have to give up 2 Pendulum monsters to summon this, and then you could Pendulum summon from your X deck to 1 zone. The same thing that you could have done if you didn't Link summon in the first place. What about Beyond the Pendulum? Another Link monster that was printed to specifically support Pendulum decks. Oh, 1 arrow to the left, 1 arrow to the right. Doesn't show up for both Spones on a 3-card board. And her effect also lets you special summon a Pendulum monster. Oh, no, wait, no. If 2 monsters with different original levels are Pendulum summoned at the same time to zone this card's point 2, you can target 2 cards on the field and destroy them. So this card can't even use its effect. Unless they errata it, just like they errataed the TG Striker to just 2 monsters at the same time. But you can't even do it. You can't even Pendulum summon 2 monsters at the same time because you don't have the arrows for it. So one of the most important Pendulum support cards that was printed to make up for the fact that they ruined the Pendulum summoning mechanic doesn't work because there's no zones. They could have changed this. They could have adjusted the field. They could have put the extra monster zone in the middle for both players. They did not do this. They could have adjusted the field to where, like, you, like, shoved... Maybe they could have done, like a side-by-side where, like, you had 3 over here and 3 over here, and then, like, both players would have 1 EMZ that pointed to both their zones. They didn't do that. And the problem is, they are not going to change the link arrows of these cards. Why are they not going to do that? Because that would change the artwork. And for some reason, Konami is powerless when it comes to their artwork. I don't know why, but when it comes to art, Japan's copyright laws are super crazy. There are cards that exist in the game that are not in Master Duel because it's not clear if Konami has the right to use them, even though they have cards that they sell to make money off of them all the time. So, for example, Red Eye's alternative Black Dragon. Red Eye's alternative Black Dragon was printed in 2019. And it is still not in Master Duel because the artist, Kazuki Takahashi, I think he died. I think his family has some sort of dispute with Konami, so they won't release any of his cards. They don't think that they have a right to make money off of selling his cards in Master Duel, even though they make money off of selling them right now as physical cards. So they don't, like, when it comes to artwork, Konami is scared, which is fine. If that's how their country works and that's how their laws work, that's fine. But that means they cannot change the link arrows of their cards because they can't change the artwork of cards that have already been printed because that's not their intellectual property, I guess. Fine. But if that's the case, then we're screwed. There's nothing they can do to make Pendulums worth anything. And here's the thing. So when Pendulums first came out, the benefit of Pendulum monsters was that you could special summon like 4 of them from the extra deck, and then you would be able to constantly refill your board, constantly regenerate your resources. They decided that was broken, so they changed it. Now you have to link summon in order to do any more than 1 Pendulum summon from your extra deck per turn. But the problem is that other decks got super fast, and this no longer became a benefit. So let's take a look at Soul Resonator to compare. Normal summon Soul Resonator. Use its effect, draw a card. Special summon, synchro into your Wandering King Wildwin. Wandering King Wildwin, bring back the Crimson Resonator you milled, and then you get to special summon 2 monsters from your deck. So, since the Wandering King Wildwin can the Red Rising Dragon. Since the Red Rising Dragon can revive the Crimson Resonator from your graveyard, that is essentially the same thing as Pendulum summoning 1 monster that went to your graveyard from your extra deck. So, the monster that goes from your that would go to the graveyard that goes to the extra deck instead, the idea is that you can easily access it. You can basically special summon it for free relatively often. But decks these days can special summon from the graveyard all the time. And the difference is they started using the graveyard as a resource way more frequently. So a Pendulum monster could special summon itself from basically the graveyard once per turn. Soul Resonator could also be special summoned from the graveyard if you need to, And then it also has an effect that can be triggered to protect your monsters by banishing itself from the graveyard. So monsters that are in the graveyard can often use their effects as cost, so they are better than monsters that are face up in your extra deck as a pendulum deck. And they realize this, and most recently, Konami has decided to start giving cards that are pendulum cards the ability to banish themselves from the face-up extra deck to use effects, similarly to how you could banish cards from the graveyard. So Speedroid Colonel Clackers, which was printed in 2024, I want to say? 2025. Speedroid Colonel Clackers has, during damage calculation, if your clear winning monster battles while this card is face up in your extra deck, you can banish this card, and if you do that, monster gains 700 attack points. So, not a very powerful effect, but at least they're realizing that, wow, we have really started to overutilize the effects of monsters in the graveyard. If we want pendulum monsters to keep up at all, we need to start giving them effects that they can use while they're face up in the extra deck, since that's basically their graveyard. So pendulum decks are already behind in the TCG. And now in Duel Links, they're going to fall even further behind, because Konami is put in a bad position. They cannot and will not go back and say, okay, we don't have Link monsters that can reasonably set up good arrows, so you can pendulum summon from the extra deck as many times as you want. Because if they do that, then you put 4 cards in your extra deck, and then you can pendulum summon all 4 of them every single turn. They changed the entire rule set of the game just to prevent this from happening. But their solution, where you could pendulum summon 2 monsters from your extra deck if you link summoned, doesn't work in the Speed Duel format. So there's no solution. No matter what you are doing, no matter what you make, no matter what you play, you are going to pendulum summon 1 monster from the extra deck per turn, which is not worth it. That's not good. If you have to link summon to use monster effects, if you have to link summon like Heavy Metal Foe's Electromite, or Beyond the Pendulum, or Exceed the Pendulum, or all the other link cards that are printed to make pendulums function at all, and you have to use 2 monsters to do that, and then you cannot replace those monsters from your extra deck like you're supposed to do, then you are failing. Your combos will not work. Your lines will not work, because the entire mechanic relies on you having access to both arrows of your link monster that you wasted resources to summon, and you do not have those arrows because Konami says you can't. Okay, so that's pendulums. Same thing with link monsters. Link monsters are also going to have this problem, because they also have the restriction where if you try to special summon a link monster from the extra deck, if it doesn't have an arrow to summon to, you have to use the link monster that's already on your board as material. So the more that we get good link monsters, the more this is going to matter. The more we're going to be stuck in a situation where we don't have the ability to link summon properly. And this is going to be a huge problem moving forward. The more link support you get, like Mathmex or Marincess, the more you're going to realize, wow, I really needed this extra, this extra zone that I don't have access to actually summon the link monster that I wanted to summon, because now I have to get rid of the link monster I summoned in the EMZ because I don't have a zone to summon this other monster to. And that's a huge problem. And the more monsters that we get that have a requirement of a link monster as material, and there are a lot of those, the more you're going to see that it's almost impossible for you to summon that monster anywhere other than the EMZ. And that's going to be a problem for cards that want to be in the back row, like, for example, Nightmare Griffin. So link decks are going to get worse as we get more cards. Pendulum decks are already bad, and they're going to continue to get worse as we get more cards. And then decks that already exist don't get the cards that they need. Now, for example, I have Sharks, right? I built the Shark deck, a few days ago. And my main combo line to build a good board going first was to summon, Levice and UDF and Full Armor Dark Lancer. And that combo uses 11 cards from my extra deck. 11. So that's impossible in Duel Links. I have 9 cards in my extra deck. So even though I end up with only 3 monster zones, and by the way, I do end up having 5 monster zones filled at one point because I need space to Exceed summon and then rank into other monsters. Now, Utopic Future is a card we are going to get at some point. It was played in the anime, and Utopic Future requires 2 Xyz monsters to summon. So that means you're going to have to Xyz summon one of them to the EMZ, then you summon 2 level 4s and you Xyz summon those. That is using up 3 of your 4 zones already, just to make 1 monster. So you are going to be in a position where you are going to be strangled, where you're going to feel choked, where you're going to see that you need 5 zones to play this game because all the cards that are printed use 5 zones. I don't know what to tell you guys. It's been 6 years since this game started playing. 7 years. 7 years since this game was released, and they have not printed a single card in the real game to be used in Duel Links. They just keep printing TCG cards, and then they keep adding them to Duel Links, expecting us to do anything with them when we don't have 5 cards in our hand. We don't have 15 cards in our extract. We don't have 40 cards in our main deck. We don't have 8,000 life points. It's just not, that's not feasible. This is not a format that these cards are being written for, and the more and more cards that you get, the more you're going to realize that the format makes no sense. It hurts you to play a deck that you don't have the space for, that you don't have the cards in your extra deck for, that you don't have the ability to pendulum summon or link summon for. So, I'm sorry, this is at this point the game has been going downhill for over a year. It is just getting worse and worse. You know, I don't have a problem with the difficulty of the game. I don't have a problem with the decks getting longer. I don't have a problem with the combos becoming more converse. My problem is if I'm going to be playing a game that is literally almost like Master Duel, why wouldn't I play Master Duel? Because at least in Master Duel, if I want to play Sharks, I can play Sharks. If I want to play Speedroids, I can play Speedroids. I don't have more than 1 Crystal Wing in Duel Links, and I don't get any benefit for that. What's my benefit for not playing Master Duel? That the games are shorter? Kind of, but the timer is a problem, right? People are complaining about the timer now because they're running out of time playing these long combo decks. Well, sorry, you could go play Master Duel, then you have a longer timer. Do I get a benefit of the decks being easier to craft and build? Well, no, I just spent 120 hours building a single deck, and that was rough. It was difficult, and at the end, it wasn't worth it. So yeah, so that's my thoughts, guys. That's what I think about what Duel Links is, where it's going, and I see the writing on the wall. And maybe some of you guys either don't know enough about Yu-Gi-Oh to understand this, or maybe you haven't thought about it, but pendulums and links are cooked. Synchro is going to continue to get harder and harder to do, as well as Xyz, because you are going to run out of space. And rituals are bad. Like even the best ritual decks that can come out, you can't use the extra monster zone. So you are going to be down a zone. And do you think that you can play Novell with only 3 monster zones? No, you can't. Because you summon during your opponent's turn as well. And you need space on the board. Even 5 zones can feel restrictive to a Novell player. And it's not like you're going to play, what is it called? Libromancer with 3 zones. No, it's just not good. So yeah, I mean, I don't know what to tell you guys. The only decks that I foresee consistently feeling like themselves moving forward are fusion decks, and fusion decks don't get good cards because of that, except for Predaplants. So that's my thoughts. My name is Serafi, and I was thrilled to have all of you with me.